A major shake-up for Australia's Border Protection agencies.
This is a reform measure that would bring together the customs and immigration operational officers into the Australian Border Force.
Guilty of negligence, a further blow for Thailand's former Prime Minister. Stocks plummet in Vietnam as tensions increase in the South China Sea. And activists outraged as Japan restarts whaling in the North Pacific.
I'm in the northern port town of Ayukawa, and the whaling fleet here is about to go out for the day.
Hello, Suzie Raines with ABC News for Australia Network. There's to be a major shake-up of Australia's border control agencies. Just ahead of the budget, the Immigration Minister has announced a new body will be responsible for enforcing all immigration and customs laws. Scott Morrison is also claiming the success so far in stopping asylum seeker boats will save billions of dollars. Canberra correspondent Karen Barlow reports. Meanwhile, the Australian government's policy of processing asylum seekers offshore is being challenged in the High Court. Lawyers for an Iranian man will argue a decision to send him to Manus Island is illegal. Today's challenge is the latest in a long list of court action against offshore processing. Thailand's National Anti-Corruption Commission has found former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra guilty of negligence over a state rice buying scheme. Under the subsidy scheme, the government paid farmers way above market prices for their rice. Yingluck Shinawatra now faces a ban from politics after a Senate hearing. South Asia correspondent Samantha Hawley reports. And the leader of Thailand's main opposition party, Abhisit Wachchachiwar, has warned this latest verdict will not put an end to the country's political deadlock. The former Prime Minister says while he hopes a compromise between reform and new elections will soon be reached, his Democrat Party still isn't ready to commit to running in fresh polls. Tensions have escalated in the South China Sea, with China rejecting claims its vessels deliberately rammed those of Vietnam. Fears of a protracted stalemate or possible conflict with China have seen Vietnam's main stock market index record its biggest one-day drop since 2001. Vietnam says Chinese ships protecting a deep-water drilling rig used water cannon to attack its patrol vessels and repeatedly rammed them, causing injuries. It's released video footage to back its claim. China's Vice Foreign Minister says no clash occurred. He says the two countries should resolve disputes through peaceful talks. But another senior Chinese official says there were collisions. He's blamed Vietnam and warned it to withdraw its ships from the disputed waters. And the US has called for restraint from both sides amid fears of possible clashes. Japan has restarted whaling in the Northwest Pacific. It's the first time since the UN's highest court banned the so-called scientific whaling program in the Antarctic. The move has outraged anti-whaling activists. North Asia correspondent Matthew Carney reports. You're watching ABC News for Australia Network. Coming up in the bulletin, ice core samples from Antarctica could shed light on the continent's past, and music as medicine and alternative treatment for postnatal depression. Supporters of India's main opposition party, the BJP, have rallied in Varanasi in the country's north to protest against an official decree banning party gatherings. An election commission denied the BJP leader, Narendra Modi, permission to conduct an election rally in the city, prompting a peaceful sit-in by supporters. In South Africa, the African National Congress has won a fifth straight election. Party leaders say they're happy with the result, but it's the smallest margin by the ANC since the end of apartheid 20 years ago. Africa correspondent Martin Cudahy reports from the Election Command Centre in Pretoria. Prosecutors in South Korea have detained the head of a company that owned the ferry that sank last month. The chief executive of Chong Hae-jin Marine was taken into custody from his home on Thursday morning local time. Prosecutors say he faces possible charges including manslaughter and breaking maritime law. Investigators believe the ferry was overloaded when it capsized on the 16th of April. Only 174 people survived the disaster. The death toll stands at 262. 40 people are still missing. Kim Han-sik apologised to the victims and their families as he was led away by police. The power play between Ukraine and Russia has become even more tangled after pro-Russian separatists chose to push ahead with independence referendums this Sunday. That's despite a call from Russian President Vladimir Putin for the vote to be deferred. The Ukrainian government says it won't try to stop the voting, but it regards the polls as illegal and meaningless. Europe correspondent Philip Williams reports from Kiev. Research is underway into an alternative way of treating postnatal depression. The Tasmanian project hopes to prove music can chase away the baby blues. South Australian researchers are testing a new device that could dramatically change the way people are tested for drugs. The technology would allow for faster results and detect new and emerging drugs. A program that helps school students prepare for the jobs market is facing federal funding cuts. The scheme links young people with potential employers, and in one of the nation's most disadvantaged areas, southwestern Sydney, schools say they can't go it alone. Rebecca Barrett reports. An environmental initiative by a Tasmanian brickmaker has been lauded. The Longford Brickworks has started using sawdust to fire its kilns instead of gas. That's cut carbon emissions by about 98%, resulting in what's believed to be the world's first carbon-neutral brick. To the NRL, and long-serving Melbourne Storm coach Craig Bellamy has announced his intentions to retire at the end of the 2016 season. Bellamy has been at the Storm since 2003. He oversaw the club reach the pinnacle of the sport on 3 occasions. Meantime, the West's Tigers are looking to appeal a $20,000 fine for breaching new concussion rules. The club was found to have sent forward Liam Fulton back on the field with signs of concussion last month against Manly. In the A-League, Sydney FC has appointed Graham Arnold as its new coach. The former manager of the Socceroos and the Central Coast Mariners has signed a 3-year deal. He becomes the club's 9th manager in 10 seasons. Arnold recently finished a short coaching stint in the J-League in Japan. He says it's been his dream to take the job. Scientists have high hopes for their latest ice core samples from Antarctica. Over summer, researchers collected 2 tons of ice in freezing conditions near Casey Station. They're hoping the ice cores will give them an idea of the actual conditions when the snow originally fell thousands of years ago. Well, growing champion pumpkins is a bit like climbing Mount Everest. People do it because they can. It's giant pumpkin time in southern Queensland. Judging this weekend will determine the blue ribbon winners for the Brisbane show. Here's Eric Torczyk. And that's all for this bulletin. For more news and current affairs from the region, visit our website, and to keep updated on breaking news, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm Suzie Raines. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.